Welcome to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. Today we have three marvelous guests that are going to give you some resources about what we're actually doing inside the city and for the entire community of Kitsap County. My very first guest is Holly James. She's with the Kitsap Entrepreneurial Center. We're going to learn about Holly and what she's doing to help those people that are entrepreneurs growing success. Holly, how did you land in Bremerton?
I was actually born in Fort Lewis, Washington, so I'm a Washingtonian. My father lived in Illahee, and it was time that someone came home and helped with his needs and stuff, so it brought me a full circle back to where I was born.
Mm-hmm. And how long ago was that?
About 17 and a half years.
17. And you've been very busy since then.
Very busy.
You're in a civic club, Rotary, and you have, let's start right off with the Entrepreneurial Center. That was your creation, and I know when I became the mayor, you put that together, that business together, and you've been helping people for these last 4 years. So tell us about the Entrepreneurial Center.
The Entrepreneurial Center was actually born from a lot of community leaders getting together and talking about an incubator, a business resource center. After many meetings, I was no longer able to participate, but later Eric Larson came to me and asked me why I dropped out, and I said, well, we need to do it. We need to get into helping people, because with all the unemployment and people losing their jobs, more and more people were turning to businesses that they had ideas for, and they seemed to need a more hands-on mentorship. And so we looked around, we settled at the 245 4th Street building in Bremerton, and got into business of helping people. The Kitsap Entrepreneurial Center is a business resource center where you can come and rent a fully furnished office with broadband and telephones and all your needs while maybe you grow your business. You can use it as a conference center if you need a place for a private meeting. And then the next facet of it is that we help people with business plans, marketing plans, strategic partnerships. The idea is to wrap a management team around the entity that's not on their payroll and give them the resources and the ability to scale up faster without spending a lot of money. And during the time that we've been in business, thanks to the city and yourself, we have helped over 55 companies get in business, stay in business, or expand.
That's exciting. I know you deal with interviewing a client, talking about where their needs are and how much they have already prepared themselves for going into a business. So that business plan is probably the very first step, isn't it?
It is a very first step and important step. There's people come to us in all different phases of their business, from an idea in their head to a business that they want to expand, or that they're already in business and just need to frame it better for profitability. So the business plan becomes your planning tool. And as we all know, business plans are a living document, so it's something that you may start out, this is your business plan this year, but as you grow or expand or learn your market, it changes. So I always encourage people to keep revisiting that business plan.
We do the same thing in the city. We have 20-year plans and 5-year plans, and as our city grows or as we are doing new things, we have to always revisit it. So it is a working document. And name a couple of those businesses. I know that you were able to help with some venture capitalists. I think the Profile Composites, you had a networking group that you could put a couple of people together, and that's a very major industry, or something that Olympic College has an academic course. We're doing kind of future ideas, because this new airplane that Boeing wants to build is going to be mostly all composite materials.
Yes, when Profile Composites came to our town, they had not yet decided where their facility would be located, and they were like the perfect example of people that we could help. They rented an office space for us. They were able to have a professional business environment and conduct their business. So they grew with us for about 6 months when they were housed with us, and we were able to facilitate introductions and to give them that support of the community without them going looking for it. So.
That's a great resource for us to have. You do more than just with businesses. I know as a community and with tourism, when we were at our various low ebb 5 years ago, we reached out to our tourism to see if we could supplement some of the income for the city. And what are some of the things that you are responsible for or that you took over to make them successful?
Well, I was fortunate to partner with the city and the Port of Bremerton for the Kitsap Harbor Festival. And we're in our 3rd year of championing that event. And we are also collaborating with Port Orchard with the Kitsap Harbor Festival. And this actually fits into our mission because all of the vendors, the bands, the different people we work with, they're small businesses too. And so we've been able to provide them with a forum to showcase their businesses and help grow their businesses. In addition, I've always been a big supporter of tourism and feel we have such a beautiful shoreline and such a beautiful city. And so this is a way to enhance what the Visit Kitsap and the city does for tourism. This year we picked up the concerts on the boardwalk, as you well know, Rock the Dock. We actually did this very quickly in a couple weeks, but we felt we didn't want to miss another gorgeous summer without music on the boardwalk. So we had some real successful bands and it was really fun. We're hoping to build that. In addition, I'm president of the Bremerton Symphony Association, which we reach out to outer areas to showcase our symphony that's been an all-volunteer organization for 71 years.
I'm very aware, 71 years. There's some exciting things, and your contact for either of the 3 events that Holly just mentioned, or for growing your entrepreneurial or hobby, you would be the contact.
I would be.
Holly, thank you for joining me this morning and sharing with us your message. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. My second guest today is Amy Olson, and she's executive manager.
I'm the center manager.
Center manager of Goodwill Store. She has a history with the Goodwill, and she's got a great and marvelous training program she's going to tell us about. Welcome, Amy. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you very much.
I remember when you first invited me, I think it was a ribbon cutting, and you had your new training facility. And we're going to start there, and then I'm going to learn more about you personally. When was that you started the training in downtown Bremerton?
We reopened the Job Training and Education Center in Bremerton in October of 2011. So we're just past our 2-year mark. And prior to that, I did work at the Goodwill Center in Silverdale. We have a center there as well. And we've been open now in Bremerton for 2 years and continuing to enroll more and more students all the time. So it's going very well, yes.
How did you get to Bremerton, and when did you start originally with the Goodwill Centers?
Well, I've lived in Kitsap County my entire life. I was raised here, yes, absolutely. My grandparents and my mother retired from the shipyard, and so I really have been here forever. I've just worked in the field of education for a little less than 10 years. I'm still relatively new. I worked at Olympic College before I went to the Goodwill, and Wenatchee Valley College as well. Prior to that, I worked in a grocery store for 20 years. So I think that's why working for the Goodwill is so special to me, because I have had that experience of being a worker, and I really wanted to do something different with my life, but I realized very quickly when I went to look for a job that I didn't have any experience other than working in a grocery store, and I didn't have an education, and I couldn't even use a computer. I didn't have basic computer skills. So I really needed to update my own skills in order to be able to make that transition to doing something else. And that's exactly what we do at the Goodwill, is try to meet people where they are, help them build their skills so that they can move on and change their life.
And that's exciting. We have so many of our residents and citizens in the city and in the county that are either changing jobs, and when we had that downturn, many of our businesses that went out of business or downsized to the point, those jobs aren't going to be available. People have a misconception. They think, oh, the Goodwill, they'll want me to take and run a cash register or sort through the items that are collected. And it's much more. Your training and jobs program is getting someone ready for a job market in any realm. Would you give us some of the ideas that are actually listed in your training program?
Sure. A big part of what we do is computer classes, because we know that in today's job market, you really can't even search for a job if you don't have the basic computer skills. Maybe for a person like you described who worked in another industry for a long time, they haven't had to write a resume for 20 years. And so they need some help with that. So in addition to the very basic computer skills, Microsoft Word, Excel, computer basics, keyboarding, we also help, really our mission is to help anyone who has a barrier to employment. So anyone who is job seeking and needs some assistance with that, that's exactly what we do.
And Amy, the best part is that there is no fee involved. They have to interview,
Correct.
so you know that there is a serious side, that they are actually in that job market. And today, even applications are online.
Exactly.
So without those job skills, I know I've been, and we'll take it down to the very bottom, I've been to the Salvation Army, some of their meeting places, and some of our legislators meet there on a quarterly basis to see how we can take and change some of their lives. I believe that your job training center has been doing that, and every opportunity I have, I try to let people know when you have these classes. Do you hold them twice a year or 3 times a year?
We have 5 sessions a year. Our sessions are 8 weeks. Most of the classes meet twice a week for an hour and a half. And then in addition to the classes, we also have a case manager who works with our students and takes a look at what are the barriers in this person's life. Do they need help with transportation, or they need housing, those kinds of things.
Counseling with even their credit is something. I think you've got one more bonus, and I realized that not only do you have them go through the classes, but when they go out for a job interview, you allow them to select something to fit that
Yes.
job interview. And how many people do you normally have in a class, and how many have you graduated?
Our classes, generally we can hold about 16 people in our classes. In the last year, we have had probably about 340 people come through our classes. And then in addition to the computer classes, we also do English as a second language in the evening. And the same kind of idea, if you're not proficient speaking English, that is a barrier to employment as well. The next time that you're at the Goodwill, you'll have to take a peek inside of our classroom. We started a project where each time we met a student from a new country, we purchased a flag from that country. And they're lining the classroom wall. We now have 26 flags in our classroom, and I think some people would be surprised to know that Bremerton is that diverse.
And that is, as you talked about being at Olympic College, the same thing. They have now almost 90 students from foreign countries.
Oh, wow.
And so we are very, we have an ethnicity throughout the city that I think is grand. Now, you said you have the same thing that goes on in Silverdale. As
Yes.
many students, or?
It's close to the
Comparable?
same. Also in Silverdale, they have an additional program that is kind of a Goodwill flagship program. It's called the Retail and Customer Service Training Program. It's a little more full-time. Students spend all day there. It's 9 weeks. For 2 weeks of that program, they go out and work in a Goodwill store, so they have that hands-on job training experience. There are services that go along with that program as well, and the students are paid. They are paid a stipend to participate in that program, so it's really a fantastic program.
That's
and that
great.
was where I started with the Goodwill, was working in the retail program. And it was really fun to watch a group of 12 people from very different backgrounds come together, but have this common goal of wanting to get a job, and to see how they interacted with each other, and how 2 people that you might think had nothing in common, in fact, they had everything in common. It's a really fantastic program.
I think it's great. The resources that Bremerton has developed over the years is only helping the future of our students, not just students getting out in the job market, but those adults that we're retraining, and the adults that are getting those computer skills. Amy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We've got one more coming. Welcome back to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. My final guest today is Jim McKenna, and he is with the WorkSource Center on Sylvan, and he's been with this corporation or this WorkSource for about 13 years.
Correct.
We're going to learn what he's doing for our residents and citizens of Bremerton. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Mayor.
How did you land in Bremerton?
Well, it's a longer story than the previous two. I actually grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, and I was drafted a few years ago to serve in the Army. So after Vietnam, I was stationed at Fort Lewis. One night, I went to a Shakey's Pizza Parlor, met my wife there. 40-some years later, we're still married.
Oh, wonderful.
We decided, once moving to Seattle, I got into banking, and we looked at where we wanted to live. An opening for Pacific People's Bank in Bremerton, mayor's job came open. Came over here, looked, loved the area, loved the outdoor living, schools, etc. And this is where we've been for 7 years now.
Terrific. So you raised your family here?
Correct. Yep.
And as far as our WorkSource Center, I know that there's one of many. How many do we have in this state?
There's 33 counties. There's probably 50 plus WorkSource centers. The area I cover is Kitsap, Jefferson, and Clallam counties, and we have 4 in those 3 county areas.
When I was county commissioner, I know I sat on that board for WorkSource, or I sometimes would go there. I think Jan Angel was there as well.
Correct.
But the things that you're finding that you're doing the most today, and I know you've expanded your responsibilities because of our veterans and the ones that are returning. Tell us a little bit about the veterans program that you now are taking charge of.
Sure. You know, the county has a Kitsap County Advisory Board for veterans. We take a look at indigent veterans, really ones that are down and out, living on the streets. The idea behind it is to assist them with emergency needs, help with housing is one of their key things, utilities, food, and medical health care. So we sit down with them, meet with them, just come up with a plan of action for them. The tie-in really as well, because at the WorkSource Center, the true way to get people out of that is to find a job.
Correct.
And so we have 3 veteran individuals at the center that work specifically with veterans who are ready to go into career opportunities and find a job. So it's kind of a fun match of emerging needs, helping the down and out, and getting them to find a job and really become self-supporting.
Yeah, back into society. What is your staff level at this point?
We have about 34 people at the WorkSource Center. It's down from a couple years ago. Budget cuts have impacted everybody. So, but we have 34 people. It's a partnership of agencies. So it's the public employment system. We have county employees. We have employment security there. Olympic Educational Service District is there, Department of Aging. So the idea is kind of one-stop shopping for the job seeker.
That's tremendous, and I don't believe that too many people know if they're not in a situation where they could utilize your service, then they don't know about you.
Correct.
And so I would think as we bring home additional veterans, sometimes it's hard for them to get back into a societal or even to find a job. So I know when I toured your facility 10 years ago, you had the computers, you were working with them on a one-on-one, and some kind of, like you say with the agencies, you have caseworkers that work one-on-one to see what their barriers, the hurdles for them to be self-sufficient and to get into the job market.
Correct. We have 22 computers available. We have assistive technology computer available. We also do some of the things that Amy does for computer classes. So we have another about 30 computers that allow us to kind of do, I'll say, touch-up computing or intro computing. we find a lot of people who have 20, 25 years in a job, and we say, give us your resume, work on your resume, and they haven't done it for a long time. They need refresher on computers, refresher on resumes and interviewing skills.
Now, are yours a classroom style, or is it one-on-one? They can come in, get some tutorial, and work independently?
Actually, both.
Both.
We have, we do have through Olympic College, they give us a instructor for Mondays, and so we do intro to computers, intro to Word and Excel on Mondays. Then we have several labs throughout the week that allows them to come on in. We have staff members. A lot of times it's AmeriCorps. So as again, it's that partnership that brings resources to bear for the job seeker.
I did not know that AmeriCorps was part of what you represent. I'm a very strong supporter. Good. And when we went from 80 down to, I think this next year we've got 17,
yep.
I'm trying to work through the federal government to see that that's one thing. It benefits those people tremendously. And then the skills that they learn, put them right into that job availability.
Oh, yeah.
So with knowing that, I'm going to maybe have you help support that with me, because I write lots of letters to our legislators.
We always support whatever you do. So, yeah.
Thanks, Jim. The current, one of the current commissioners, Charlotte Garrido, is the sitting person on that 3-county board, and they meet on a quarterly basis?
Correct.
And they just share what's going on in the other 3 counties?
Yeah, we have a lot of statistics. Government loves figures.
Yes, they like data.
Yes, so we have a lot of data to look at how many people we're putting back to work. We also tie in with training. So we do a lot of training. The main programs are adult dislocated workers and youth, and we have monies to help assist them in training. What we find is a lot of people who they have the work ethic, they have what they're wanting to do, maybe not the skills. So how can we get them the skills tying in with Olympic College? The other thing that we really do a good job on is the other side of the equation for employment is the employers. And so we directly connect with employers. We actually have recruitment days at the WorkSource Center. We've done job fairs in the past. We have a booth at Olympic College's job fair. So the idea is really to bring people together, bring the employers at the center, where they can see the people that we have, but also where the customer can see, gee, there are employers hiring. There is life after losing a job or a job change, and how to start connecting with the employers.
You've got some great success stories. One is that we got in Kitsap County a business because you did all the interviews for them. They were going to open up their doors and they needed to have a workforce, and so you or your staff did all the interviewing and saved them lots of time. And then when they had to downscale, you were able to take some of those, downscale them and find other positions or move them into a different direction.
Correct that.
So good things. I know you're kind of the wrap-up of the 3 things, the resources that we have in our city limits in Bremerton that are really helping people stay employed, change jobs, or have skills and confidence to be in our society. Jim, it's a pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you, Marilyn. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Join us next time with Growing Bremerton Together and Mayor Patty Lent.